Hey guys, so Sia bringing you another video. Now welcome back to another high rating spectate. Again, I like to call them challenger spectates, but a lot of the time they're not challenger games sometimes. Like this is a grandmaster game, so it's kind of close enough. But today we're watching Jace. Now if you're like, why are we watching Jace? If you're relatively new to the channel, you may not know, Jace is arguably one of my best champions. Last year I used him quite heavily to get to Master in Season 9. And I've always said he's never been like insanely overpowered or strong. There's been moments that he's decent in the meta, but he's always had that kind of weakness that he generally falls off quite hard in late game. And for lane bullying, he's not even the best lane bully. Yeah, sure, he's got range, he's got a bit of poke, but if something gets onto him, he's going to struggle, and he's even not very good against tanks. So I was like, let's watch a game of Jace to see if at all he can snowball anymore in this type of rating. Because in theory, the higher rating you go, the player base knows, hey, Jace falls off, just don't feed him in the early game, and he's against an Ornn. I think all of us kind of agree that Ornn is really strong right now. He's a tank that does as much damage as most bruisers. So it'll be interesting to me to see how a Jace potentially can do well versus an Ornn. But yeah, I like Jace, and you know, I've always kind of been in the camp of, you know, meta is important, don't do weird and dumb things if you do really want to climb. Like, I've had people complain to me going, I'm stuck in silver, ELO hell, and then I'm like, what do you play? Oh, I main Ezreal mid, and it's like, well, that probably doesn't help you too much. And obviously Ezreal mid isn't even the worst example, but it's just the one that came to mind because I had that literally a couple days ago in on Twitter, and I was like, like, you're not helping yourself in that instance. But I've always, you know, going off that, play something meta, play something that makes sense. You know, it doesn't have to be like Jace at the moment technically is not in the meta, but you're still playing him in top lane in his correct role. That's what I mean. Is like, you don't have to play the most popular picks, but play where the champion is designed to go at least. Play what the champion is designed to do. Like, if you play Sion, play tank Sion, don't do lethality Sion, is the way that I would generally, you know, do things. But I've always said play what you enjoy, because what you enjoy, you're most likely going to play better on. So that is kind of like the thing that you've got to try and balance, is play something that's strong and it's in its role, but also play what you enjoy. There's no point if I tell everybody, dude, Kassadin's the most overpowered mid laner, which arguably he is still. If you don't like playing him, there's no point playing him. One, it's a video game, and two, you yourself are probably not going to perform that well on him if you're not enjoying it. So far, the trade has happened that the Ornn has actually been winning the trades because, you know, Ornn. He is crafting his first item, which probably is going to be, it gets cancelled. It might be like a cloth armor or something just to give him more survivability versus the Jace early poke. Worth noting, Jace's runes, we can go over them. So he is running Conqueror. He's crafting again, but it has to be a bit careful. He's running Conqueror, Triumph, Tenacity, obviously against an Ornn. Last Stand, because he does feel like he's probably going to get low health to duel the Ornn. And then he's running Inspiration, Biscuit Delivery for that mana. Warp Tonic, which he's doing because he's running Corrupting Potion first. And then he's done Adaptive Damage, and Armor. Nothing out of the ordinary so far. Ornn probably going to be basing, and if I was the Ornn, what would I be purchasing? Corrupting Potion 100%. Remember, as an Ornn, you can craft any item in the game. The one thing you cannot craft are potions. So health potions or corrupting potion you cannot craft, and also wards. So going back, getting that corrupting, giving you some extra sustain to enable you to stay in lane longer, that is probably the move that the Ornn will make on his first base. Jace goes back though, gets himself his corrupting potion, you know, refreshed, and also picks himself up 2 long swords. So nothing so far, and this to me already is slightly worrying. He's going to go for an all-in, and I do think he should try and take this all-in because he's clearly got an item advantage over the Ornn right now. He does a bit of trading. It was a positive trade for the Jace, but that was about it. The Ornn's probably going to go back now and buy, you know, to be on equal footing. But I'm a little bit worried for the Jace right now. Like, again, he's a Jace, known as a bit of a lane bully, but Ornn scales well. Ornn's going to get tankier, and what's the Jace really going to do to an Ornn? Like, yes, the modern Jace build, for those that are curious, is a lethality build. So yes, a Jace can get through armor, but Jace isn't very good at getting through health, and Ornn buys both armor and health. So if Jace doesn't get ahead really in the next couple minutes, I'm not really sure how he's going to do it, unless there's some massive dragon play or something, or a roam. And obviously, we just saw that Jace just used his teleport to return to lane, like the Ornn did. So in the next, like, 3 minutes, 3-4 minutes, there's no big teleport play that the Jace is going to be doing. Worth noting, you might also recognize a couple people in this game. So our last episode, the Relaxor attacks guy, yeah, he's playing Pantheon support. So you will recognize the same people over and over again. Actually, there was a really good trade happen in top lane. Let's see what happened there while I was, again, going to go watch what was happening in mid. So Ornn's trying to block the minions, but that does enable the Jace to get a full combo. Jace walks through the Ornn with when the flamethrower is happening, and that is generally the move, by the way. Walk through the Ornn to avoid a lot of the fire damage, because Ornn, when he does that, I don't believe you can early cancel it. Anyway, a gank potentially coming in. Jace may have to flash this, but he's going to try his best. Doesn't dodge, but he doesn't need a flash anymore. The Pantheon, however, is roaming heavily already. Excuse if there are some freezes. That is... Oh, and Zoe roams heavily. That is the replay file. Again, worth noting. I've said before... The match history might be working again, so I might have to check that, but I have recently got the replays from a third-party website, so they're a little bit, like, they're not, like, the smoothest of replay. Really nice block by Lee Sin there. If you saw, he ward jumped to basically get in front of the Gragas E, and then the Lee Sin gets a nice flash, gets a nice ward jump, and yeah, kills the Gragas in a 1v1 deep into the enemy territory. So this game already is not looking good for the Jace's team. He picks himself up his first lethality item, but I would say he should be a little bit careful of Pantheon kind of waiting around, especially if Ornn has the confidence to be behind the tower, but nothing comes of it so far. But yeah, this isn't looking great. So the enemy team... Do they scale well? Yeah, somewhat. You know, they've got an Ornn that is also, going to scale well. They got a Zoe who scales obviously very well if given the opportunity to be Zoe. Lee Sin doesn't, but he gives a lot of utility. Miss Fortune scales well, obviously, and a Pantheon doesn't really scale well, but he'll basically set up the rest of them. Versus Jace falls off. In most areas, like maybe a Jace in mid to late game could still like one-shot or take on like the Miss Fortune, but the Jace isn't really going to be able to take on much than that, you know, like even the Pantheon in late game Jace might struggle with, unless he gets really fed, obviously. Ornn actually could be in a bit of trouble here. There is a big all-in happening. Lee Sin is top lane again. Will Jace get one kill? Flashes, doesn't get the kill. Is not going to get it, I don't think. Is anything going to come of it? Lee Sin very obviously going to be getting this kill. Jace with the return damage. Jace absolutely monstrous damage. Gets the Lee Sin and gets a 2v1. And now Ornn on the back foot. Can Jace get the snipe? He is kind of looking for it, but damn. So that is the underestimated damage from Jace in early to mid game. That the Lee Sin just, I don't think, prepared for. And, you know, yeah, the Lee Sin was very close in getting the kill, but that's the problem. If you don't kill Jace straight away, he will just return you with an instant big bang combo. And that's the one benefit I would say that a lot of people don't think about these transform champions. So Jace, Nidalee, there's a couple of them, right? Is that they have a lot of abilities to their disposal. Like, think about it. Jace has got 2 Qs. He's got 2 Ws, 2 Es. It just kind of depends which form he's in. You can, like, cast your Q, quickly transform, cast another Q, and Q's your main damage spell. That's a lot of damage in a very small amount of time. So that's where a lot of Jace's damage actually comes in an all-in, is when you're letting him get that transformation, or you're delaying a fight to enable him to transform. That's the scary thing. And so Jace is very good at 1v1s, and that wasn't even a 1v1. It was kind of like it was a 1v2, but they separated. The Ornn was really low, Jace nearly killed him. So then the Lee Sin was by himself, and the Jace just took that, you know, and used it. So that does get Jace into an even KDA and also red buff. So what I'd like to see as you know, a Jace player, ex-Jace player. I did, by the way, play him recently in a normal game. Got quite fed. I'd like to see him go all in. Right now, this Jace has got the advantage, 100%. So he has to, and I mean has to, try and abuse that advantage. So you can see on the minimap there are pings happening. You got Jace is asking for help, and also the Ornn was. Why? I can guarantee, like, before the dragon happened, the Jace was probably thinking, Lee Sin's going to come top. Like, why wouldn't he? I'm pressuring heavily, and also, oh, Pantheon ult. With a Zilean, by the way, nearby, and I don't know if this is a good idea by the Pantheon. He's going to walk over to the Zilean. He's going to re-engage. Zilean does have ult. Pantheon is just going to get absolutely one-shot, basically. Jace on the front foot. Ooh, Ornn makes a mistake. Jace gets another kill. Zoe is in the area, though. All in does go to the Jace. He is going to go into the tower damage because he obviously has got Zilean ult, but this could line up Zoe for a free kill. She doesn't go for him. She went for the lead. She went for the Zilean. Doesn't even get the kill. Now the Misfortune is top lane. Jace's going to go for all in. Looking for that big bang damage. Doesn't actually get the kills. Really close. But yeah. So just to put in perspective, that was 5 people top lane at 10 minutes into the game. Literally, all 5 enemies were in top. That's a bit weird. You know, there's no tower that's dead. There's no swapping lane. That was just 5 people in top lane. That's a bit odd, if I'm honest. Zoe damage already kind of popping, obviously. She is continuing, and there's a teleport from Jace. What can the Jace do? No, it's a teleport from Zilean, but the Zoe does get herself on a rampage. Currently is 502. Now, the one thing I would say is I think Zilean is going to be one of the worst picks against Zoe. I've obviously learned more about the champion recently, and Zoe benefits from champions that, you know, well, are either slow, and Zilean, yes, he has his speed up, but he's quite predictable. Or, what does Zilean give people? Well, yeah, he gives them a res, sure. But they res in a spot that Zoe knows where they're resing in. It's the same. Guardian's Angel is not that effective against a Zoe, because when you're resing, she could just put the bubble on you and then line up a massive queue as you're respawning. Like a good Zoe, like a Challenger Grandmaster Zoe. I can do that. Like, by the time this video comes out, there may be a Zoe video that I played the other day, and I'm not even a Zoe player, and I can time my Q quite well. So let alone a Challenger Grandmaster type Zoe, that's easy for them. Like that's just like breathing is how easy that is. So Zilean isn't going to be that effective. Obviously, damage output as well from Zilean versus Zoe is vastly different. But what looks to be happening is now a lane swap. So Ornn's gone bot lane. Zoe is staying mid, but Misfortune did seem to be staying in top lane. A lot of damage goes over to the Ornn. Pantheon is flanking. And I don't know, like, does anybody get slightly annoyed by the Pantheon kind of play style of support? It's like, I'm not support in essence. Zoe gets killed. We'll actually check that in a second while we go look. Oh, she gets kicked away. Doesn't manage to get someone. Can she get to anybody? Really close. Jace going to continue the fight. Is going to probably one-bang the Lee Sin. He's on the back foot right now. Lee Sin's going to try and survive. Boom, the cast comes out, and now the enemy is in trouble. They are now running into the enemy territory. Jace will have a speed up any second. They both get sped up. Can they do anything? Pantheon re-engages for some reason. Oh, it's because Misfortune's in the area. Nice Misfortune ultimate. What a weird game. And yes, by the way, Zilean is still top lane. So that was a bit weird. We're not going to check, by the way, what happened to Zoe. I think she just got one shot, basically, by the Gragas and the Jace. So far, big fiesta. The gold is becoming more equal. The enemy team still has the slight advantage, though, because they've got the dragon and, you know, in essence, like a little bit more kills, etc. If Zilean could break that tower, that would probably bring them roughly even in gold, or like ahead maybe in gold by that. But yeah, momentum is obviously the big thing that we've always spoken about. Who can get the next dragon? Because you know, the next dragon is surprisingly a really big deal, because if the enemy team get it, well, then they have 2 dragons, and it's a bit more out of reach for the enemy team to catch up. If blue team get it, well, then you're even. So I know it sounds kind of obvious, and again, excuse if there is stuttering going on. I can kind of see it in the replay. But yeah, in essence, sometimes the second dragon is actually very important. I'd say that the 2 most important dragons are arguably, well, the first one, obviously, second one, and the 4th one. The third one, it's important, sure. Ooh, that was close. But the first one is like, okay, that team is focusing the dragons. Second one, it's kind of looking who's going to probably get all the dragons. And then the 4th one, who gets the soul. So I know that might sound obvious, but yeah, the third one, by then, I think it's already kind of like, oh, that team's getting them anyway, you know, by the second one. It's rare anyway for it to be not the case. So Pantheon does die again. Now the counter that what I've seen, by the way, to Pantheon support is just kind of thinking a little bit. The pick is all in. We spoke about that last time we saw Pantheon. Is it falls off? It's a Pantheon. It's playing in a weird position that it's not designed for, so it has to get fed. So in essence, just, you know, wait it out. Oh, one shot from Jace, but he's dead. A nice Zilean ult to keep himself alive. Gragas barrel, nice flash by Ornn to actually probably keep him alive, actually. That stun actually did land, but Ornn got himself unstoppable, and Jace will return to top. So a little bit of a top lane difference here. Jace is just walking down and roaming, not using his teleport, versus the Ornn that teleported in to do nothing. If anything, the Ornn hurt himself by teleporting. So that does show a little bit of top lane difference of like when to roam. Like, it's a skill that you can't really teach. You might pick up as time goes on. It's something that I can't tell you guys when to roam. It's a feeling that you get as a top laner. and also depending what champion you're on. Jace is quite actually a heavy roaming top laner because of how fast he is. One, he's got his gate that he speeds himself up, his E in ranged form, but also every single time that he swaps between hammer and cannon form, he also gets a movement speed bonus. So he's pretty damn fast. And that now has also completed his second lethality item. So he's got his Drakthar and he got his Yumu's. He went for Yumu's first, by the way, and some people say, is there a rail round that you can do it? No. So a lot of the time, it's off personal preference. If you want to do Drakthar first, you can. If you want to do Yumu's first, you can. In essence, what you should ask yourself is, what's going to benefit me the most right now? Both give you good damage. Both give you benefits in different areas. Yumu's gives you higher movement speed. So if you're looking to go aggressive and someone's just a little bit too slippery to get them, well, the Yumu's might give you that movement speed to get them. Or, oh, I'm getting focused a bit in ganks and I could use a bit more movement speed to dodge a Lee Sin Q, for example. Yumu's is also good for that. Drakthar, dude, I'm smashing this guy. Drakthar technically gives me more damage. Let me just buy Drakthar and I can kill him, you know? Boom, that's what Drakthar's kind of for. So both give you benefits, and it just is up to you which one you want to do. As for the general build, I do think, Jace is a full lethality champion nowadays, so he will be probably continuing that trend. Meanwhile, Lee Sin going into mid, and I will say, nice snipe. This Lee Sin also does seem to be quite all-in, and it's not always working, because do remember, they're trying to all-in a Zilean. The one benefit of Zilean is he reses himself, so you're all-inning a champion that's going to res himself to give his team enough time to group. So it's a bit weird that it does seem the enemy team is quite focused on Zilean, and yeah, he's 0 and 3, he's not very strong, but he in essence doesn't need to be strong. Meanwhile, Misfortune overstays, gets killed just by getting slowed by the Zilean, enables the Jace quite nicely. A little bit weird that the both technical solo laners are in bot lane together, I will say, but, you know, it's okay. Anyway, Gragas, ooh, just whiffs, unfortunately, his ultimate because the Pantheon flashes. Jace is looking aggressive. Now, when you're looking at a top laner invading the enemy jungle by themselves, what you're seeing there is confidence. He ain't going to do that if he's feeling weak. This guy is feeling strong. He wants to use that strength. Like, look at the Lee Sin. Just kind of shows his face and gets poked out by the Ezreal and Jace by a lot. So you are starting to see what I'd actually call the Jace effect. Is that he wasn't punished enough in the early game, like put down enough. Like, yeah, he got ganked and then put behind, but then the Jace managed to turn it a little bit. There was a bit of sloppy play in top lane, and that's one thing that Jace, I'd say, is very good with. If the enemy team play a little bit sloppy, especially in the early to mid game, Jace will punish that. And you know, Jace at this stage is still strong. He's got like 2.5 lethality items in essence. So he is good, he is strong, and for the vast majority of the enemy team, they are near enough one-shottable for a Jace. Like, watch this Lee Sin, he's about to pop. He missed it, never mind. So Jace is going to go on the Ornn. Buy one, get one free, might happen, and never mind. Jace gets one more kill, Misfortune ult's coming through, Jace flashes inside, double stun by the Zilean, actually really nice there. Double kill, there's going to be a triple kill. Pantheon now on the back foot. Meanwhile, by the way, Zoe is in bot lane. And that's something that we've seen quite a lot of this game, is that there's just people in weird positions. So what's going on? This is a Grandmaster level game, but it just feels a little bit disconnected. Like, big Rift Herald play happening and Zoe's bot. Why is she bot? Or, oh, okay, Zoe's bot, let's just let them have Rift Herald. Like, that's kind of what you'd expect maybe at this rating, but Season 10, we have mentioned, is a little bit of the, it's a bit of a pleb season, to say the least. Yeah, in terms of quality, I don't think it's the best. So, you know, even though this rating is very good, it is, you know, the quality is going to affect the whole of solo queue, let's be honest. And, yeah, I don't expect everybody is even playing their best right now anyway, but yeah, the Jace, although having a great performance, and what I like, Lee Sin has to be careful here, by the way. He would literally get one shot by this Jace. What I like by the Jace is that the early game wasn't even perfect for him, but he was looking for those opportunities always. Like, he's never stopped looking for them, and that's what a good Jace player is going to do. It's the same as, let's say, a Pantheon or a Renekton. These are the type of champions that have to try to get ahead. Now, some people may be like, Huz, you did an episode of Renekton recently, and you're like, oh, you know, you like playing Renekton, but there's no point playing him because of League of Legends has moved on. Is Jace different, or how is he not different? He's a bit different to Renekton. So, in essence, they're similar. Meanwhile, Pantheon getting absolutely demolished by the bombs and the combo by Thingy, by Jace. Why is he different? So, yes, grant you, Jace does fall off in mid to late game. he can still kill squishies. Look at that damage. He can still kill squishies quite effectively. A Renekton in late game can kill squishies quite effectively. So what is the difference? Well, the champion design, in essence. So Jace can go ranged form. He doesn't have to always go completely melee. For Renekton to do anything, he has to be completely melee. So that is one difference. Meanwhile, Jace gets kicked, but actually doesn't have tower aggro straight away. Meanwhile, Lee Sin, he has to be careful. Yeah, gets just absolutely bombarded by the Jace. And now the enemy team's got momentum. Double kill for the Zilean. And that will most likely near enough be the game because the momentum is too hard. Legendary Jace at this point. And yeah, really good to see enemy team surrender straight away. So that is how AJ snowballs in Grandmaster, is he uses mistakes and he finds opportunities. He roams heavily. He's not permanently in top lane. So like he isn't like a Tryndamere. Like he is looking at those roams. He is looking for those occasional TP plays. Well, actually, did he do any TP plays? He might have just run around a lot. But yeah, they're in essence different. Like, how is Pantheon different to Jace? Again, same thing. Is Jace has ranged. He isn't as reliant as going completely all in. If Jace is weak, he can still do poke. If a Renekton is weak, he has no poke. He has to go all in, and then he's weak, so he just ends up dying. That is, in essence, the difference. Same as Pantheon, same as other early game champions. And obviously, if a Jace is weak, the one thing he is still giving his team is utility with movement speed. His gate, the line that he puts on the floor when he's in ranged form speeds up his whole team. That is a pretty damn good utility spell. So that, in essence, is why he's fine, but you do have to get ahead. But even if you don't get ahead, I'd say right now Jace is probably more useful than Renekton or stuff like that. Again, maybe if you're an amazing Renekton player, you're fine. And yes, there is the Blade of the Ruined King build that I even did in my Renekton episode. Wasn't enough to carry, unfortunately. And by the way, worth noting, you can build Blade of the Ruined King on Jace. Just to point that out there. But the finished build for this Jace was the 3 main lethality items. So, you know, Drakthar, Youmuu's, and Edge of Night. Some people may ask about Glaive. Glaive's not an amazing item. I think you could skip that and probably get a Black Cleaver instead. And then after that, you know, you're getting those 4 items that give you basically armor reduction. You're getting your tier 2 boots, and then your final item is basically up to you. You could get a GA if you are wanting to go into melee form to go all in, because then you can revive if you're in danger. If the enemy team is heavy MR, you could go more Malmortius, which, you know, you are going to be at that point probably, you know, CDR capping, but still, you could probably go Sterix if the enemy team is like heavy melee or heavy AD, and you again, you can buy a Blade of the Ruined King. Triforce isn't the worst thing on Jace if you're looking for burst. So that's the cool thing with the champion. He is quite versatile in what you can build, but he does finish the game 148 farm over the Ornn. Well, not over the Ornn in that, but he finishes more than the Ornn. The Ornn, I don't know, he didn't play bad. I just think he didn't punish the Jace pick enough. In the early trades, you were seeing the Ornn was beating the Jace, and I just think the Ornn should have pressured that more to limit what the Jace could do. It just didn't really happen. And as for gold, which is working now, by the way, yeah, the Jace is nearly double gold. Nearly. But yeah, that's going to be it. If you guys did enjoy this Jace episode, throw a like on the video. I might try to pick him up in the Smurf series soon. Again, I did play him in a normal game the other day, and I got very fed. And it was really fun to play him. Because yeah, I used Jace to get Master last season. I enjoy the champion thoroughly, so I should probably play him because I do enjoy him. But that's going to be it. If you guys enjoy, throw a like on it, throw a subscribe. Comment down below what champions you want to see in the next few episodes. And I'll see you guys next time. See ya.